Hey folks, Green Stuff Gav here. This week we're going to paint Hexfire from the Warhammer Underworlds crew. Now we saw in the last video, obviously I've done the bases and undercoated everything in Colour Forge's black because it's a really nice black, really nice spray. So I'm going to match the previous three characters I've done, the Von Dents and Kado. So it's going to be a lot of browns and sort of darker colours. Now I obviously add painter's milk to all of my paints as I open them, but you can see here I've still added a little bit of water from onto the palette just to give it some flow. Now this is a little bit of a patchy coat because really it's going to be covered up. This is like the darkest shade, and having it slightly translucent helps the blacks go through. Now, because I've already got the brown on the palette, I've gone on to the red on the inside, so I can sort of mix that in to darken it down. You can add black straight to red, but it really affects the colour negatively. So just by using a darker brown just gives you that little bit darker colour, because then you can see we're adding in the original colour back into it, and that gives us our highlight. Now I'm doing this while it's still, the previous layer is still wet, so that I can have a little bit more blend in, because it's not a massive amount of red here. It's yeah, and it just having a touch of red there just really helps pop, just helps bring some colour. And again, so lead belcher is a lovely dark metal, but could do with it being slightly darker, so just a touch of black. And again, we're going darker, and then we're going to add the extra layers because that will give us our highlight color. Now the other way to do it obviously is to go lead belcher and then throw an ink on it, but that aids drying time. So whereas I work very quickly, as you can, although this is sped up 4 times, you can I still go color, do another color while the previous one's drying. So again, some more of the original brown, added the Thondria, the next highlight up. A very thin coat, because again that adds some translucence. So where you can see I'm going over the same bit a couple of times, you see some bits I'm only given 1 coat, which again with the translucency just really gives you that that highlighting effect. Yeah, I've obviously done all the brown first because that's the vast majority of this paint job, and then then just a little bit of a go over with some metal work that I missed. This is a good thing about having if you've used a wet palette, which obviously I don't, means that you can go back and touch up things as you go, but yeah, so we see here I'm using the previous brown, added in a lighter bone colour for all the cloth work, because that then means that this colour is darker than the actual main colour. So it also helps you get a bit of consistency with your colour scheme, because you're using the same colours as your base. Yeah, just going back checking out all the wooden bits. So again, I've added more of the darker brown to the bone colour. So although it's technically the same colour, it's different shades. That helps it all sort of work together. I'm going back and adding some edge work to the reds. Yeah, you see I'm going back, I'm giving things plenty of time to dry, so that you can sort of work it over the top. And by just leaving the original colour in the recesses gives you that darker colour. I really like the Underworlds minis because they are really intricate, really nicely detailed. They're not over the top, but they just have that real nice character to them. There you go, see, so I'm going back over with the bone we'd added to the brown but without the brown bits. So and then mix it up to give us some wood grain. Again, it's the same colour, just with slightly more brown into it, into the wood effect. Then I did a video on painting flame effects over black undercoat, which you can see the basics here. Is that's actually one of the new paints, Baylor Brown, we got in the Warhammer Imperium. And that goes straight over the black really nicely. It's only one thin coat, but do some edge highlighting here on the blacks, because again, just a slight touch of grey, because if you do too much then it looks more grey than black, but this looks like black leather, which is nice. Just a touch, like I say, just touch on the edges. Yeah, that's then a touch of Rune Lord Brass, which is really nice, sort of basic for, it's a gold effect. It dries a lot lighter than the pot, so just a couple of touches here and there just to add some character, because again this is the leader of the warband. So he's got a lovely little tea towel hanging off his waist that I wasn't quite sure what to do with, so touch of blue. Again, it's a colour that's not going to be used. Right, and again, so coming back to the flame, now the Baylor Brown is dried, we'll give it a nice coat of Muriel Yellow, and then while that's wet we're going to start sticking some orange in from the other side, and then sort of mixing the colours together on the palette, just to sort of like blend them together to give that sort of that burning effect. Obviously a lot of people new to miniatures will paint the opposite, start with reds then work up to yellows, but for want of a better description, the way a torch will work. Just a couple of little highlights on the face, because there's not a lot of skin work on this guy. A couple of little tidy up pieces, little bits of edge highlighting. That's him done. Real lovely mini to paint. So I really recommend any of the Underworlds crews. They're just really nice. But thanks for watching, and as always, have fun.